it all winner for this.
It's the biggest race we have all year long.
The icons of this sport have all starred on its biggest stage.
It's the great American race. Trust me.
I won the Daytona 500. I won the Daytona 500.
Pull them belts tight one last time, boys. Light the fire.
Big push coming now for Harvick. Oh, and around goes a couple cars. Priest upside down. He's barrel rolling through the grass.
You got plenty of money. Don't need that to keep racing. Is it worth the risk to keep on going?
Sure, to win.
Oh, yeah. Welcome to the Bump and Run podcast. I'm your host, Michael D. White. Joey, our two best friends, Matt the Statman Reilly and Eric Daytona Ron. Hope you guys had a great weekend. Hope you guys had yourselves a Joey Logano type of weekend. He was the big winner down in Atlanta, and he got us our first win in the picks in a long time. Eric Dovin told you to pick Joey Logano going into Atlanta. He got that one right. In fact, Eric has the most correct picks this season with 4. Me and Matt are slumming behind with 1 each. I don't know what happened to us this season. Last season we were on fire. This season, there's much more to be desired, to be honest with you. But we hope you had a great weekend. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. Tell all your friends. We're getting near the end here, but keep spreading the word. Get those view counts up on YouTube and the download counts. You want to know what? Honestly, I don't even pay attention to the numbers anymore. We're doing the show for the fans that are already with us. And if you got any more, get them on board.
Well, should we? I mean, it is coming up towards the end of the season. Continue spreading the word to everyone, but seeing as though next year is our 5th season, should we let them in on what we're doing next year to go bigger and better and than ever before?
I would love to.
We're doing each. I'm just going to tell them.
Yeah.
We're doing each show from a helicopter next year.
We are. Tell all your friends we're going to be the first aviation style podcast where we're
dedicated to NASCAR.
Not only are we in helicopters, we're in 3 separate helicopters set up on the square boxes, just like you see on YouTube, but in different whirlybirds throughout the Wyoming Valley. How about?
I want to be in a hot air balloon. Send me up there and just let me go.
I know a guy.
Eric, that's such your vibe, man. Hot air balloon.
Eric, I know a guy that flies hot air balloons. He's an retired engineer at the radio station. He was telling me all about it last time I saw him. He'll take you up in a basket. You got to get the.
Yeah, that's something that like. It has to be. It causes so much adrenaline, but you're doing nothing.
Oh yeah, you're just along for the ride.
What makes it scary is that it just gets you. You're in a basket, a wicker basket, with a balloon ahead of you that operates by flame.
Yeah.
So I am not afraid of heights for the most part. I'm not
terrified.
Within reason. I'm not afraid of heights. I'm not afraid of flying. I've done parasailing. I like all that. Like I love adrenaline, things like that. You couldn't pay me to get into a hot air balloon.
No,
I mean,
no.
Like, dude, I'll go skydiving. Like if I ever get the opportunity to go skydiving, I'm going to jump at it. Like pun intended. Bungee jumping, I would go bungee jumping, but like a hot air balloon, dude, no way in hell would I ever step.
I agree, Matt.
I agree with that.
Basket. Like, because I feel like it's slow. It's just there's just so much that can go
I feel
wrong.
like it could tip over. Like there's so much that can go wrong with that. Like
so the way Dan the engineer is explaining it to me too. They have to pay so much attention to the weather. It all depends on the wind pattern that day and the temperature and all this stuff. They're constantly, you know what they're adjusting that balloon is for the air, like the thinning of the air as they get higher and everything.
The heat.
And he goes, you kind of just, you go until you can't go anymore. And then you try to find a giant field and that's where you put her down. And he's like, yeah, I've, this is for people out of the area. They won't know, but the Nicholson Bridge, you know, that giant bridge in Nicholson. He's like, yeah, I've flown through that. It's like this bridge is a massive bridge.
Sketchy.
Yeah,
that's sketchy.
So for the people outside of the area, which is most of the people that listen to us, this is a giant bridge aquifer where like
it's a train bridge. It's a giant train bridge that essentially connects a mountain to a mountain.
Yeah, and then there's an aquifer that runs through it. So like imagine like an aquifer where it's just those giant pillars where it's like
just like giant archways almost.
Yeah, the whole bridge is just archways. And he's like, yeah, I flew underneath that. I'm like, you're fucking insane. Because again, they can't move left to right. They just go with the wind.
Did you guys ever hear the Dale? So to tie it back to NASCAR, Dale Jr. told a funny story last year, this year, whatever, where he was on his property and a hot air balloon was coming through and people were waving to him and he was waving at them and they were coming down and landing and landing and landing. And eventually they land in his field. So he walks over and he's like, what's up? Like, what's going on? Like Dale Jr. Like I'm not doing the story justice. The way he tells it, it's hilarious because it's Dale Jr. And like the guy's like, had to land my hot air balloon here. Sorry, buddy.
Matt, it happened to him again in the last couple of weeks. He told this story again where he's like, oh, like the girls were at school or something. They missed it, but he landed again. I can't tell any of them because they were so upset they missed it the last time. Like they need to see this hot air balloon landing on his property. But yeah, absolutely crazy. But anyways, that's what we have in store for season 5. So tell all your friends the Clash post-race show and then the Daytona preview. Eric's going to be in a hot air balloon. I'm actually going to be in a prop plane, a bi-wing one, open face, and then Matt's going to be in a helicopter. We're hitting all of the aviations.
Apache, baby. I'm doing it in Apache.
Why do I look like Snoopy from Charlie Brown driving the plane around?
In the back of the Apache.
I
give the race a B+. I give the race a B+. Great racing.
I thought the Clash at Bowman Stadium was unnecessary. I don't understand what they were going for, but hopefully Daytona is better.
Oh, this is Wayne's World, baby. I love this show.
Oh, yeah, it's a Tuesday, baby. It's a Tuesday show. But fellas, how was your week? I actually saw both of you guys every day this weekend. It was a rare occasion. Matt had us over for the Notre Dame game. Do you wanna tell us about the Saturday? We watched a little bit of Xfinity on the other TV too. We saw Austin Hill win, but it was a great party.
Had a garage party, just honestly, an opportunity to get friends and family together, drink a bunch of beer on a Saturday in the fall, and just kind of bust balls and enjoy each other for a couple hours. So didn't go the way I was hoping. I specifically picked that game because it was a quote unquote easy opponent for Notre Dame. I figured by halftime the game would be out of hand, and second half I can bullshit and we can all have fun and bullshit around. But unfortunately, Notre Dame lost, one of the biggest upsets in program history. And of course, it had to happen in front of my close friends and family, my loved ones, where I just got my ass handed to me and, took one on the chin. It took me probably a full day into Sunday. And by Monday, I woke up and I had to put it behind me. So just like we are super fans with NASCAR, I'm a super fan with my other teams, Notre Dame, Jets, Penguins, everyone, Celtics. So, I really wear my heart on my sleeve. I think I let a couple curse words out throughout the entire neighborhood when they lost. But I let the emotions get the better of me, but still had a blast.
Great party.
Ripped some Irish mist shots with you guys. And, had fun anyway.
It was a great party. I mean, I'm a Texas Longhorn fan, so I had just had one of the greatest games of my life where we absolutely destroyed last year's national champions, put the Michigan Wolverines to shame, and I roll up to Matt's house, and everything is just going wrong. And I want to
comedically, it was perfect for everyone who was there that wasn't a Notre Dame fan. It went as perfect as it can go. Yeah. Because me, my family, my dad, my cousin, a couple of our buddies are also huge Notre Dame fans that were there.
There's 8 or 9 is there, Notre Dame fans.
The whole party was Notre Dame fans except for me and Eric. I'm pretty sure the whole entire party was Notre Dame fans except for me and Eric.
Shrey, who's doing the show here with us, he was there. He's a huge Notre Dame fan. So yeah, it went well for everyone who isn't a Notre Dame fan.
The best part though, it's the first quarter. Like the game is just started. Like Notre Dame had a couple bad plays, and you could tell like, oh no, this might not go the way that this game is expected. Once again, first quarter, Matt Staff gets up, turns on, and goes, well, Matt's fault. Matt's fault. Instantly just blamed Matt. Matt's fault.
Threw a jinx on the whole thing.
Losing it.
Had a party, threw a jinx.
You know it's going bad when the touchdown shot turns into a rally shot. That's what really banged me up on Saturday. We were doing some rally shots of Irish Miss.
I tell you what, your father wouldn't let it happen until after halftime, though, too, and I respect that. He kept the faith up until then. I thought it was a great party, though. I think the great house, too, Matt. It's the first time I saw your house in person. And you know how, like, I don't know if you guys do this, but I tried to piece it together through social media stuff and everything. And
Snapchats and stuff that we send each other. I do the same thing when I haven't been.
Like, envision what? Okay, yeah.
But you know what happened to me? It tripped me out. I told you this in person, but because Snapchat is reversed, everything was backwards from what I imagined. So, like, your living room was completely backwards. And I don't think I've ever seen your kitchen before. But the lawn, gotta tell you, the lawn looks fantastic. We busted your balls last year about the lawn. It came in very flush. It's one of the nicest lawns I've seen in a while. So
I take that. That's one of the nicest things anybody's ever said to me. I take that. I'm a lawn guy.
Yeah. Well, after that,
and I had to take it back too. I told Matt because I remember when I started busting him at first, driving by, heckling him about it, like, But no, coming in great. Your old man, great lawn.
Oh yeah.
But
and so at least you got that win on Saturday, and then
my fantasy team won. If that matters,
that helps. Yeah, and then
my fantasy football team.
And then me and Eric spent the Sunday afternoon Sunday evening together. We went, me, him, Luke, and Jay, and Dana went up to see Yes and Deep Purple at the Mountain. Got a little chilly, so we had to leave a little early. But
so I didn't tell you guys this. So Steph and I, it was during the race and the NFL games on Sunday, we had ordered Chipotle up the mountain, which for anyone outside the area, when we say up the mountain, it's Montage Mountain. At the very top of the ski resort is a ski resort and a concert venue,
music venue
where those two were at the concert. And as at the bottom of the mountain, there's the AAA baseball stadium, and there's like shops, like shops and restaurants and stuff. And there's a Chipotle there. And so we come up right by Glen Morrow, the country club there. And there was a couple cops there, and there was like traffic sign, and I was like, who's playing at the mountain? So I pulled it up because I was like, there's no traffic whatsoever. So I pull up to see who's on there as we're going up to Chipotle. I'm like, Deep Purple and Yes. I said, that's why there's no traffic. Who would go to Deep Purple and Yes?
I mean,
and here you guys are. I get the Snapchat a couple minutes later. I'm like, oh my God, of course they are.
I tell you what, we didn't have a hard time in traffic either.
No, not at all. Played a little hacky sack in the parking lot, drank some beers.
Oh yeah, it was a good time. What should we call it? So that venue seats 17,000 with the lawn. They didn't have the lawn open, so it was probably about a 7,000 seater. And then I would say those seats were like half full, Eric, maybe like 3/4 full.
I'd say 3/4. I'd say it was 3/4 full. The actual seats under the pavilion, yeah.
Yeah, so it was
to their defense.
I feel like it was added on real late too. It was just announced within the last couple weeks or so.
I didn't know about it. That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Like normally I'll hear about these shows or I'll look them up and I'm like, wait a minute. It felt like I just heard on 107 like last week or two, and I'm like, wait a minute, Deep Purple and Yes, like they were doing like a ticket giveaway. I'm like, when are they coming out? I'm looking, I'm like, like a Sunday night though. Come on.
Yeah,
but it was their last show of the tour.
Week one of the NFL season too, like a lot of people were probably like, not happening.
Oh yeah.
That's why concert season is kind of over now. You know what I mean? Because like the summer, like nothing's going on. Now that stuff's in play on weekends, and you have a concert on a weekend, you're going up
it's hard
against
to draw, you know? Yeah, because it was really chilly too, and it's a lot
it
easier.
Got cold. Once the sun went down, Ming,
it was like on that mountain, it gets fucking cold, and you know you got night games on, so it's like, what would you rather do? Stay in your nice warm house watching Sunday Night Football on NBC, or chilling on the mountain? I mean, it was a great time regardless, but we also had some great racing to get into, too. You boys want to jump into the NASCAR news first, though. A couple stories. This one jumped out at me because it's something that I feel like everyone was kind of hoping would happen, and it's not. Iowa Speedway won't be repaving ahead of 2025. I guess they're sticking with those grip strips in the corner. Do you remember when we went there earlier in the spring? They had repaved just the bottom lane of the corners.
That's right, because they ran out of time. That's right.
Yeah. So, but for some reason, they're not going to finish that job either. So, like, I feel like we saw a pretty good race at Iowa. I can't remember what the score was. But I feel like one of the complaints was we thought we could see some wider racing in the corners and stuff, and we didn't. I can't remember for sure though.
Did you say you can't remember what the score was?
Like the race grade we gave it. Like was it an A, a B?
Right.
You know,
I was very confused. Let me see.
But
I gave Iowa. I gave it an A.
Okay, maybe we don't
I also gave it an A. Yeah, we had a good show. Yeah.
All right, maybe we don't need. Maybe we didn't need the repave. Maybe I'm misremembering. But so
I have one thing to say because I don't want to get too fired up too early in the show, and this just fired me up.
Yeah.
This is just another chalk it up, put the check mark next to it of something that NASCAR is refusing to do that the drivers want NASCAR to do.
Yeah. Because they didn't
everybody? That's the only thing I remember from Iowa is everybody after the race saying, "Yeah, it was good. The repave, it wasn't bad, but it would have been nice if the whole thing was uniform."
Repaved, at least in the corners.
Only thing I remember from the end of that fucking race. Once again, NASCAR is just checking it off. Oh, they want to do this? The actual drivers of my series? Nah, fuck them.
We're good.
I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, you want to know? That's what I thought. That's what I thought the consensus was, but I couldn't remember the race itself. And then let's see.
Don't worry. I actually didn't look at what the news is, but if we're going to talk about are we going to talk about the charter deal at any point?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, we have to.
Good. Then don't worry, Eric. We have plenty of time to get fucking.
That's why I didn't want. I'm like, I don't want to get too sweaty just yet.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and then this is pretty interesting. So earlier in the year, NASCAR announced NASCAR Studios. They were going to bring some production in-house, and they just announced 3 shows that are going to be airing. Playoffs, NASCAR Inside the Playoffs is going to be on True TV and Max. So they're already adding to the new television deal, expanding some of those properties. And then they're going to have NASCAR Daily on YouTube. And then Drop the Jack, which will also be a YouTube and podcast platforms type show. Not a whole lot of details on all of those, but it is promising where, you know, they're at least trying to make up some daily content that was lost from Fox. So I think that's pretty interesting.
I dropped the Jack once. I was so embarrassed. I had to go back up to the bar and reorder another drink.
That's the worst. Did the glass break too? Did everyone turn around and look at you?
Just a bad dad
joke.
Oh! Nothing more embarrassing than dropping a glass at a bar. I did that at a company baseball game a couple weeks ago.
Of course you did.
So I have to give some backstory.
A couple weeks ago.
I have to give some backstory on this because last year it's a 10-year appreciation baseball game. Last year I went out with my 2 supervisors, and originally the plan was just have a couple beers before you get up there because we had time to kill. And our one supervisor, Sherry, got me and my buddy Al so drunk. I mean, so drunk it was embarrassing when we walked in there. Where I just sat down next to my mother, and because my mother works there too. I just sat down, and she's like, well, "You need to relax." I had sunglasses on the whole night, ate some food, and I don't think I had another beer that whole night. So this year, everyone knows how drunk me and Al got last year. So we're like, all right, we have to be on our best behavior. We're avoiding Sherry. We didn't tell her where we were going pre-gaming. We let her go off on her own. We went to Dave & Buster's. We had we had one big IPA each, knocked the nerves off, and then we headed to the baseball game, right? I'm on my second beer. I'm not even buzzed. I'm just talking with my hands, and I knock the can out of my hand, and it hits the ground and goes everywhere. And I go, guys, I'm not drunk this time. I'm not. I'm just fucking talking with my hands. But I was never on the defensive so hard.
You
as
got a
in that
reputation at work now, buddy.
Yeah.
I do.
There's the drunk. There's Whitey. I wonder what's in his thermos.
Oh, where were you and Al before you came to the baseball game?
Yeah.
Where they have free beers flowing and wine and shit. So, anyways, I forget how I got. Oh yeah, nothing worse than dropping the jack like Matt did. Full circle to the bad dad joke. Anyways, well, we'll save the charter one for last because Kyle Larson is going to make a second attempt at competing in the double. He's going to run the Indianapolis 500 this year and the Coke 600. And in a press conference today, they said, I think it was a press conference today too. It was Tuesday.
Yeah.
They said Rick Hendrick and Jeff Gordon both said he will not miss the beginning of the Coke 600 under any circumstance. So if they're in the middle of the race, he has a set time. He's leaving. He's hopping on a plane. If he wins the race and he's doing media, he has a set time where he has to leave. So what do you guys think about Kyle Larson attempting the double and then putting the priority on the Coke 600 this time?
I want to say, yeah, I'm cool with it too. I want to say I'm excited about it, but we were so damn excited about it heading into Memorial Day weekend earlier this year, and it didn't happen. So I'm going to reserve my excitement and just let that weekend play out, hoping that it works out like it should have this past year.
We'll get excited on Friday when we can see the weather report more accurately.
Right.
I agree with that. How about you, Eric?
I think it's a no-brainer. Larson obviously wants it. I think he's talented enough to do it. Obviously, last year, 5th to 8th in that last segment. So he was up there, had a shot. So now, he's going to have that pit experience, going into that race. Like that's tough. You never that's something that it was almost bound to happen. But besides the Larson aspect of it and him getting to and from, this is strictly a business decision. Hendrick knows. I was listening to Moody on the way home, and he was basically saying how much of a bag Rick Hendrick got from running all of that, how much promotion, how much money he made business-wise, having HendrickCars.com all over everything. And so I think it goes back to he made so much money in that whole PR deal. Couple weeks for that. He knew whatever money extra thing you get for winning an owner's championship or a season championship, I bet you it was close to being like a wash. Yeah. And that's why he's like, Larson, don't worry about it. If you lose, this is like a wash because I already got my bag. Moody kept talking about how much the PR and money, they could sell that for as much as they want, as long as they know Larson's in that car. That, who was it, McLaren or Arrow? Who's sponsored? McLaren, right? I
think McLaren, right?
Yeah, and it's all right, McLaren, they could put a $10 million price tag to sponsor that car, and they're going to get it. It's crazy money that he brings. So I think beyond the racing and all that, this is just a PR money thing for Hendrick and NASCAR and even IndyCar, because a lot of the callers on Moody today, hey, only IndyCar race I watched all year was that one. So it does draw eyes to the sport, just like how we are pumped when SVG comes into our sport. It's the same thing. We want those eyes, whether they stay or not. Hey, to each his own. Yeah. But at least that one event, which is one of your mega events, you want eyes on that. So that the next time you're doing one of these TV deals and everything, you could look and be like, look, we had 5 million viewers for this 3-hour
race because, you know what I mean? Because of this.
All that little stuff matters. But I think the money alone that I think Hendrick and everyone made off of this, it's just a business deal at this point.
I feel bad for all the people that bought the dual diecast set with the IndyCar and the NASCAR race car in it, because he only got to drive one. And who ran that for him? Justin Allgaier. Technically, it's the Allgaier Larson set, but yeah, just that shit alone, like all the merch, all the T-shirts, all that extra stuff that they could start pumping out at Daytona too. Like they have months and months to sell all this stuff again. Yeah, I didn't even think about the business opportunity of it all.
That's all it pretty much is to anymore. Like with the way the sports world goes in general.
I wonder.
Everything, make no mistake about it, everything is about money.
I wonder if he'll continue to run Hendrick drivers in the Indy 500 because of it, like in the future, like, oh, it's William Byron's chance to try it, shit like that. Or I could see Penske doing the same thing, bringing some of their Indy guys into the Coke 600 too, doing the opposite. I think I would like to see that. And I think a lot of those guys would like to do that as well. And then the big story this week dropped Saturday morning, bombshell. All but 2 owners have signed the charter agreement for 2025. 2311 and Front Row Motorsports are apparently the teams that did not. Apparently, from what it sounds like, it's funny because Jenna Fryer of the Associated Press said that teams were kind of pressured and forced to sign, and then Brad Keselowski was like, coerced and pressured are like kind of pretty heavy-handed words. He didn't think it was that bad. And then I heard from another source that at like 5 o'clock at night on Friday, they said, you have until midnight to sign this 140-page document. I believe I heard it on the teardown, or else we're revoking your charters. It's like, we're going to do it if you don't sign. So they basically gave him an ultimatum to sign it or you don't race, so 2311 and Front Row are sticking to their guns. They're not resigning.
I'm rooting for Denny Hamlin and Reddick the rest of the way.
Hands down.
Yeah.
Hands down.
For 2311, you know why? Because the rest of them caved, especially, we're just talking about one of the biggest, most successful businessmen in racing and car history. Rick Hendrick.
Yeah.
Penske, who owns the Indy 500, Indianapolis Motor Speedway, Penske, the company. Yeah. You've got Joe Gibbs Racing. Or Joe Gibbs himself, rather. You've got 3 powerhouses. How did they not sit there when NASCAR essentially threatened them? If the reports are true, I do want to state, if what the teardown said is true and NASCAR said, you guys have until midnight to sign this or we're taking your charters. If I was any one of those 3, I would have said, NASCAR, take the charters.
Right.
Because guess what? This isn't exactly what we want. This isn't up to snuff. You're not going to strong arm us. Guess what? Take the charters, because your little playoff, your little bullshit fucking fake ass playoff thing that you have that was made for television and entertainment. Guess what? Half the playoff field is made up of Hendrick,
that's
Penske,
11 cars
and JGR. We're not going to show up to your little fucking gimmicky playoff thing. So good luck telling your TV partners that half your playoff teams just aren't at the track this weekend.
Not even half. 11 out of 16 are from those 3 organizations. Plus, then you add Tyler Reddick. That's 12 of the 16 are
that's
like
80% of your fan base is going to be gone.
Yeah,
essentially.
Yes. Teams and like I said, especially those big 3 right there, especially them. But all other 10 teams that signed it, 13 in total that signed it so far, they gave away their leverage right there.
Yep.
2311 doesn't have a leg to stand on now. And Front Row Motorsports doesn't have a leg to stand on. But I hope they hold out. And the way Denny's been so vocal about this, and Michael Jordan doesn't back down from a fight. I hope they hold out as long as they possibly can and just say, come take it from us then. You want to kick Michael Jordan and Denny Hamlin out of the sport? Good luck.
I think the most interesting thing is, too, because they said they were going to revoke the charters. They haven't yet. They haven't made any announcement about any of this either. And like you said, like kind of the leverage is gone, but at the same time, you have to look at the two teams that are holding out, and this is something I was thinking about a lot today. You have 2311, who wants to expand to a third car next season. You have Front Row Motorsports that wants to expand to a third car this next season. And then you have Stewart Haas Racing that is trying to sell 3 of their 4 charters. And now you've pissed off 2 of the buyers of that. So now, not only does that impact the 2 charters for each of these teams, it impacts 2 charters for sale as well, where there's no other potential buyers, as far as I know. I know RFK.
Well, who would want to?
Right?
Looking at this from the outside in, if you want to get into the sport of NASCAR and you're seeing how this is going down,
Yep.
no way in hell you're going to sign that deal.
So now you have 2 teams that want to buy available charters. So you're going to strip them of the charters they already have. Who the fuck are going to buy them? What teams are going to buy them? I don't think there's a single team in the garage besides maybe the Wood Brothers, because they could technically expand 3 more charters under their agreement. Penske could technically expand to a 4th charter, but then they have to break that partnership with the Wood Brothers. And then RFK is supposedly in talks for the 3rd charter. But like there's a limit to how many charters each team can have. Like some of these back markers, they're not going to spend the money on those charters that now could possibly become available. Now you're
The way they're being treated, why would you even think about even buying into something that is that's why they're not doing any PR now. That's why they haven't said anything or made a statement about what Brad said, what the teardown said.
Yeah.
They haven't come out yet, because guess what? They know it's bad PR. They don't. They want to talk about it. It's all closed doors and bullshit, is what it is. They're trying to make a greasy deal without anybody knowing what the deal is. This is the rule book fucking all over again, where they want to include shit and leave stuff out and not let us know about it, and it's just greasy all over the place. And no new person from even outside, like you said, Whitey. Okay, yeah, there's going to be charters available. Would you want to opt in when you see how NASCAR is treating the people that already have a charter now?
No.
What Denny's saying is, like, I paid $40 million for my charters.
Yeah. I just want to get my return on investment. And
what am I getting out of this? You can't just tell me. Basically, you're telling me, like, hey, see you later, burning $40 million right in front of me. No, that ain't happening.
Also, like, you're looking at the future growth of the sport too. Denny Hamlin has flat out said, he's like, I've made millions racing, and I want to dedicate my money to NASCAR to keep making money, and I can't do that.
Look at how much money he spent on airspeed.
Yeah, huge amount just to build the shop.
Yeah.
What was it about? Something about a report came out today about a lawsuit that could potentially happen, where NASCAR doesn't want that to happen because all their financial business is going to get spilled out in court, which they don't want people to see about too.
That's what
I'm not aware of that. I'm not aware of that piece.
This is going to get to lawyer point. I think that's where Denny, he's like, listen, I got Michael and Jordan.
Yeah.
On my side here. We'll get any kind of lawyer we want. Bring it on, NASCAR. That's why, hey, listen, I know fans and people out there. I know people don't like Denny Hamlin. I get it. He does some stuff on the track. He says some things. He could be cocky. He could do it.
But
whatever.
as an owner?
But what he's doing as an owner.
It's everything the fans are begging for.
Off the racetrack he is literally in the forefront. He's fucking Mel Gibson and Braveheart right now. Just being like, let's go, NASCAR. I'm ready to go to war with you. And you're not going to, like, I'm not backing down. So leave all of that on track, whatever you feel. Denny Hamlin is our hero right now in the sport.
He's the hero we need.
Imagine if Senior was still alive, owning DEI right now, and all this shit was going down. How he would handle it.
Raced in the last 3 races. He would have pulled his cars out and said, nope, I'm not hitting the track, boys.
Or he'd sign immediately. He goes, I just want to make, give me my money. You know, like it could go either way.
I just want to race.
I just want to win.
I just want to go win. I want my cars out there winning. Oh, you're going to take away some charters? Good. Put more shitty cars out there so my cars can win.
Well, I've always had that mentality, and that's why the smaller teams sign, because they see this as a great opportunity to now become the forefront of a sport. And I think that's where NASCAR is kind of maybe banking on, and like their vision is, and this is what I always feared with this Gen 7 car. And I talked about this 4 years ago, where it's like NASCAR, this next gen car, there's already been plans in motion that it's now finally being acted out, where they changed the sport so much. They're going to a certain direction because I think they knew this deal and this charter stuff was going to happen at some point in time.
Yeah.
Weird rumblings in back rooms talking about this and that. It's, to me, these smaller teams in the back of the field, everybody's similar now.
Yeah. They run
They can run up front.
Yeah.
They can be competitive together. That's what NASCAR's whole thing was. Get the field tight, get the field competitive, so that when this blows up and we say, hey, we're going to try to steal this money and charters from these teams, and they say, oh, we're going to leave, well, we can let them leave because now all the parts are coming from NASCAR. No teams are making anything anymore.
Wow,
Everything is spec'd through us. Everything is so uniform. They control everything.
I didn't think about the single source supplier shit.
Oh, go ahead, leave.
Yeah.
We don't need you, because guess what? These other teams, they don't need engineers making their parts, CNCs at the shop. All they gotta do is call, oh yeah, I need our parts for this year.
Yeah.
And NASCAR will send them their parts for this year. And then they'll work on it. You see how close these speeds are and how similar they are. And I think NASCAR's banking on that. They set this sport up for this moment to be ready for it.
I didn't even think about that.
I think one major miscalculation on NASCAR's part is the loyalty that the blue collar fan has.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
We're all blue collar folks, the three of us here.
Yeah.
90% of NASCAR fans out there are blue collar folks. The loyalty that we have within our bloodlines is what makes us a unique breed of people. You want to fucking kick all the I'm not a fan of the third engineer over at Hendrick Motorsports. I'm not a fan of the fuel guy.
I'm a fan of the fucking 45 car.
I'm a fan of the driver.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm a fan of the fucking 45 car that might not be there next year.
Right.
I might not be there next year. You know?
Exactly.
That's exactly what I'm saying right there.
Right. But the thing too, like I just keep going back to this and thinking about it is now, even if you do revoke these charters, now there are 7 available charters for sale. You've completely destroyed the value of that. You've saturated your market. Charter prices going down now, you know, and who's going to buy those 7 charters? I don't know. But if the 45 car's not in Daytona, I'm not at Daytona. Flat out. Why spend my money? Why spend money on a flight? Why go pay for the hotel? Why go buy a ticket for $220 and sit there on a Sunday and not see my driver race? I don't know. I'm not rooting for fucking Hendrick car at Daytona. Fuck that. You know what I mean?
And Matt is right. This is we get to the weeds real bad with this, like fandom and loyalty and stuff, because we've all been there for years and years and years.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I said this on air, but I said it in a text to you guys. I'm like, listen, I've been tormented on Sunday since 1995.
Yeah.
And I would be grateful. I would be grateful to just go back to a one sport kicking my ass on a Sunday.
Yeah.
Instead of 2. You know what I mean? And it's like, I've spent countless money going to races, driving. I specifically bought 2 campers just to go to fucking NASCAR races.
Yeah.
And like, it's at the point now where it's like, hey, if you're like, you're just spitting in my face. Like, you're just stealing my money now. You know what I mean? Because you're not giving the fan at the racetrack what they want. You're not giving the drivers what they want to drive on the racetrack. So it's like, what are you doing other than just embezzling money off of us dumb rednecks? Because that's what all NASCAR fucking thinks we are.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, like some of us are into the actual legit racing. We're not into the 30-second highlight reel of a car doing barrel rolls down the backstretch.
No.
That's going to get views for a day. It's not going to get a fan for fucking life. That's the difference. They're trying to get fans to watch that are never going to stick around.
Yeah.
That's the problem. So they get a false sense of numbers by doing certain things like, ooh, look at these numbers. And it's like, boom, oh, well, how come we didn't sustain that? Well, because it's a gimmick to gimmick. You're not going to go anything. You have to build.
NASCAR wants to be the soup du jour. They want to be the topic of the day. That's what, like, they want to be leading the story on Sports Center. They want to be leading the front page of every sports paper out there. That's that's not going to happen. But that's not where NASCAR's place is ever going to be in sports.
No.
And they're always trying to like we've been saying, like they've got an identity crisis. Like they're always trying to be someone that, or not always, it's more recently, but they've been trying to become something that they're not necessarily, and they're not honoring. Like, listen, I know we sound like 80-year-old, like grumpy old men right now. I get it, but we're not alone because we're on social media. We see other people talking about it. They're trying to placate to the new fan, and you always have to do that to a certain extent, right? But they're sacrificing the ones who have spent the thousands of dollars year after year after year. The ones who will
continue to do so is what my point is.
The ones who have
do that.
The ones who have spent 36 Sundays out of every single year, sacrificing plans here and there so they can watch the races on the TV. The ones who are spending the shirts, the books, the die-cast, things like that. They're showing us right now that they don't give a shit about what we're saying because they want to try to get the new. Let's go to Mexico City. Let's go to LA. Let's do that. And they're not honoring what they already have. And that's where I think fans like us and the older fans as well really feel like we're getting spit in the face with, and it sucks.
And I think that's why they kept
too much in my eyes. They're doing too much. You know what I mean? Like it's
get back to your roots. Like get back to who you are. Get back to the identity of NASCAR, a badass sport that gets competition out there, that kicks ass on Sundays. Get back to that. Be that.
I miss seeing the old highlight package commercials.
You are.
They don't even do like any of those highlight package commercial things. I remember seeing like even the intros were so much better. Like it was like everything is so generic now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I feel like that's where NASCAR has an opportunity to be different, but they keep chasing the NFL, the MLB,
they're just chasing the NFL.
Stop chasing that. We're unique. We're different. Go that route. Stand out. They keep doing what they're trying to do, you're just playing follow the leader, and you're picking up the crumbs as the NFL is in the front eating the whole meal.
Oh,
and you're just picking up the NFL's crumbs. Create your own meal, NASCAR. You know, maybe certain people don't want to be at that dinner table. They want to be at your dinner table. Make your dinner table enticing for the people that want to be there.
And that's your team owners right there, too.
Be a motorsport. Don't be an entertainment.
Yes.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Be a motorsport. Be who you are. Be who you've always been. Don't try to, like, I don't know, man. Don't try to reinvent the wheel. Don't try
to be pro wrestling.
But basically what we're saying is, the Bump and Run podcast, we might be talking about a different form of bump and run pretty soon if this goes down.
Yeah, we'll switch to a golf podcast, a football podcast. Apparently the Bump and Run is terminology that's used in different sports. I didn't know that until I named our podcast the Bump and Run podcast. And then I had a fight for URLs and Apple iTunes ratings for, it's the Bump and Run football podcast. It's the Bump and Run golf podcast. I'm like, well, this is a little
we'll really irritate all of like the dirt racers when we start a Pennsylvania Posse podcast all about the dirt racing around here.
But we're the
These guys don't know shit.
We're the
They're
least
NASCAR
informed
guys.
dirt.
What do they know? Start a pocket. They're no dirt racing.
They don't know 450 sprints. Get the fuck out of here. They would too. They call us right the fuck out. Those guys are hardcore. But that's all I have for the NASCAR news. I wish it was better news for Denny Hamlin in the charter situation. Keep holding the line, Denny, though. I love a good old-fashioned holdout. And then we do have a NASCAR race weekend to talk about. Actually, we saw some pretty good racing. That's the thing, too. We've been seeing good races lately where it's like...
before... I know I'm cutting you off here, but...
Yeah.
To tie a bow to the Denny thing, because you just brought up Denny. How about they didn't show up for the championship trophy to give Reddick?
Right?
Bullshit.
Anybody from NASCAR?
No one from NASCAR.
That's petty motherfucking shit right there.
That's real fucked up.
And I think that's the reason why Dan's like, dude, what?
Yeah.
All right. No. You want to play this game? Well, I'm playing now.
Not only
nobody showed up from NASCAR. Like what?
Not only just because I'm a Reddick fan, but I hope he wins the championship so bad. And then the no deal is still signed. And they're like, yeah, our NASCAR champion might not be here next year because we're revoking the charter because we didn't want to give them more money.
How great of a moment in NASCAR history would it be if Reddick won the championship, took that giant ass trophy and smashed it off the ground. Didn't accept it.
Now,
took it and smashed it off the ground.
That'd be some real pro wrestling type shit, though. I'd be all about that.
That's the part of pro wrestling that we'd be okay with.
Yeah,
that small part off to the side.
Yeah, that's part of you're giving it to the man, you know?
Yeah,
Right.
fuck yeah. And that's how NASCAR started, giving it to the fucking man. How did we go from bootlegging, fucking running moonshine bootlegging to being corporate tools? And I don't even want to get into it. But boys, we have a race we can talk about. We got the Xfinity Series. Austin Hill won again. Why do they keep letting him win? Why do they keep letting Austin Hill win in the Xfinity Series? Caught the end of that one. No one makes moves at the end of these super speedway races. We were yelling in your garage the whole time, like, make a move, make a move. They never get any runs. Is it the package? Do they bring the wrong Xfinity package to the Atlanta race? I don't know. But Austin Hill won another one. And then Joey Logano, he led twice for 9 laps. The race lasted 3 hours, 6 minutes, and 12 seconds. We saw 8 cautions for 44 laps, 24 lead changes among 14 different drivers. Your top 5, Joey Logano, Daniel Suarez, Ryan Blaney, Christopher Bell, and Alex Bowman, rounding out the top 5. And fellas, normally we pause before the checkers and wreckers. We would do the race grades in 14 minutes.
Oh God, yeah, dude, yeah. We can do the race grades.
I'm gonna tell you right now, Whitey. You just said 24 lead changes among 14 drivers.
Yeah,
and guess what that equals?
Pretty good race.
Almost every time.
Pretty great race.
I give it an A race.
Yeah, I agree. Also, to expand on that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of those lead changes were drivers that led multiple, at least 10 laps. I highlight those. So like, it wasn't, oh, this one's during green flag stop. So this guy switched to the lead and that guy switched to the lead. So yeah, a lot of passing, a lot of battles in the lead, a lot of like, I don't know, like big runs that would come out, kind of out of nowhere that were super interesting. Your boy Eric Jones, man. I know we'll get into that, but yeah, I agree. It was an A race, right?
I also give it an A. I loved it. Yeah, I loved it. Even for like an opening football Sunday with the NFL and everything, like I couldn't stop. Like it was awesome. It was a great race.
Yeah, that first stage. Burton even said on the broadcast, and I was just about to like say it out loud myself. I'm like, man, I go, this race is like back from the 90s where it was like more that they weren't side by side. They were more single file, but able to get runs and move.
Your car had a handle
individually.
Well. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, like individually, you were able to make up some ground and move a little bit. And then in stage 2, it heated up in stage 2. Everyone got a little more comfortable with their cars and started handling a little bit better. They were able to make a little bit more aggressive pushes and shoves into the corner and stuff. So, stage 2 set up for the, stage 3. And it was just, to me, man, I know the possibility is there, and it is, but that race seemed less super speedway than the other one. I felt like. Did you guys feel like that? I didn't feel like I was watching a super speedway race.
So it felt like an old super speedway race from the 90s, like Burton said, and then it got real chippy near the end of that second stage, where they got side by side. Guys were making pretty wild moves. And then once it went 3 wide, that's when I'm like, all right, this is a super speedway race near the end there. But at the same time, it's not a super speedway race that we've been seeing in the next gen car lately. Because
that's
it wasn't,
it
wasn't the 2 trains. Like, this is the super speedway racing I want to see at all of them. I want to see this type of racing at Talladega. I want to see this type of racing at Daytona.
At Daytona 2 weeks ago too. Like
we did. It was more two rows going at it, but you're right. There was a lot of big runs coming from guys and everything. But man, this Atlanta super speedway hybrid type deal it's something special, I think.
Yeah, and I heard Chase talk about it on the teardown when they were doing their media questionnaires and stuff. They were talking with Chase about it, and Chase, obviously, Atlanta and being down there in Georgia, like he said, the buzz just around town and everything is, hey, Atlanta's back.
Yeah.
Like it's And it is, you know what I mean? Not the same Atlanta that was, previous, but I'm going to say it's back. I thoroughly enjoyed what I saw there in Atlanta. I think the drivers like it as well. Now, maybe not inside the playoffs. They don't like it all that much. And even Chase admitted that.
Yeah.
He admitted it better to be earlier rather than late, which that was a little shot. I felt like Chase at the schedule with Talladega being in the round of 8
round
now.
of 8 next year.
I think Chase was like kind of giving a dig on that. Once again, put a check. Drivers don't want something. NASCAR's going to do what?
Double down.
What that is.
Double
so
down.
It's like, I just, in my head, I'm just keeping a tally of everything that the drivers bitch about in these media fucking interviews. And then you see later on, nothing they want ever gets done.
No.
And I'm just starting a list. I'm getting a list and I'm making it. And it's like,
Daytona Ron's running tab of NASCAR bad decisions.
I love it.
And it's just like, it's so bad because NASCAR does this stuff and it makes me think the racing is, that's all we talk about. But I just counted. I have 13 A races so far.
That's what I'm saying. Like, the racing's been really good this year.
And great racing.
But
it's the sanctioning body that we're mad at.
Shouldn't be fuck NASCAR then,
right?
But it is, and it's like I just want to focus for one full season on just the racing because I give another A out for this race. It's like this is number 13 of the year, and it's like that's a lot of quality races. And
even some of those races we gave a B. We gave Bs because the ending got fucked up because it went to like a green-white checker, and those were great races before that.
If it went green.
Yeah.
And like, if you've listened to the show over the 4 years that we've done,
we don't hand out a lot of A's.
No, we don't. Like, I think we're pretty fair with our grades. Like, hey, and we have no problem saying like, hey, a C grade is a C grade, and that's fine. We got a bunch of between the three of us, we got a bunch of C's in our life.
Got a lot of C's.
C's are fine, but
C's make degrees.
Like, we've been giving a lot of A's, and that's where I think from deep down in my soul and my heart, why I get so pissed off is because we love this.
Care. Matt, we care. Like we're invested.
We care too much.
Part of us. We're part of it now. We feel like I'm attached to it, and there's no. I can't get pulled. I can't. I'm attached to this sport, and there's. If you do something to piss me off, I'm gonna feel it.
Like, yeah, right. Like we could all be downstairs with our loved ones right now, watching whatever's on TV or just spending quality time. But we choose to take a couple hours out of every Monday or Tuesday rather and do this because we care about the sport so much that we want to spread the love to others and talk about it. And we want to do that. And we're getting the racing really, like, we're doing a lot of bitching, but like we're getting great racing.
Great racing.
But it's all the stuff that the corporate.
It's the noise. It's the background noise that's with us every week.
Like Eric just said, like, I want a season where we could just get all that out of the way and let's just go racing, baby. Let's not like try to be someone we're not. Let's be NASCAR and let's go racing.
And it sucks because we're so in tune to it. And I think maybe why we might have different opinions sometimes of maybe other fans or maybe the newer fans, because maybe the newer fans, they're not invested enough to follow all the beat writers. They're not invested enough to stay up on everything on a daily basis. They're not invested enough for an entire season to even know who the main media members are to listen to about the sport. They're just clicking and they're probably watching the 15-minute highlight reel package on YouTube.
Oh, and that was awesome. Yeah.
And it's just like it's a different fan, I think, too, that doesn't it doesn't hit the same. They're not invested, they're not in as deep. So when they see something, it's like, whatever. The race was good. I almost wish I was a new fan because it's like I might appreciate it more because the noise is still not inside of my bubble yet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because they're not fully in the NASCAR bubble. And it's like I just wish there was just like
right, like fans show up at 3:00 on a Sunday, watch the race. When it's over, they go about their life. They come back next Sunday, but like they're not on the social media channels that we are. They're not seeing everything. They're not going through all this investigative stuff. Like not that we're fucking investigative journalists, but you know what I mean. Like they're not sharing all the little tidbit stories.
They're not torturing themselves on Twitter 24 hours a day. waiting for news to drop on Tuesdays because it's like, oh, we know a big fucking thing's gonna drop, and we're refreshing every 20 minutes to see like what the penalty report is and stuff. You know,
I'll waste 3 hours of my morning for a paint scheme unveil at fucking 10 a.m.
Yeah.
They're not driving home listening to Dave Moody screaming at his callers on his behalf.
I don't do that either. That's where I draw the line. I stopped doing that.
I've cut back. I've gotten better. I cut back. But
I won't do it.
Sometimes, Matt, it's like, like a good car accident.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to run towards it.
Yep.
Moody's like that with me every once in a while, where sometimes I have put it on just because I just need to get irritated every once in a while, and he does it immediately.
The problem is I have the morning drive on every morning. If I'm not listening to music really quick, like that's what I have on. So as soon as I get out of work, I jump in the car and it's a Dave Moody caller. Like the time schedule works out perfect where I'm catching the tail end of some dumb shit. Some guy is going, well, I don't see why NASCAR can't just fly us to the moon and drive, like, you know what I mean? Like, and then I'm just like, how the fuck? And it's because his producer just has to be bad, where they just put these callers on where they're not screening anybody for the Dave Moody show, where it's like, well, Dave, don't you think it's insulting to IndyCar if Kyle Larson wins the race and then he leaves in the middle of the media availability? It's like, buddy, we haven't even seen the race happen yet, and you're coming up with scenarios to bitch about already, where it's like, chill. Kyle Larson didn't win yet. He didn't even strap into the IndyCar yet. And you're already getting mad at him for leaving media availability after his possible win in 9 months from now. But you want to what?
That's all the callers.
You want to what, though? Those guys are just as sick as we are. They are just as sick, but
they're just not informed at all. They don't do like we at least know and look into it. They just like, I'm gonna call Moody and see what he says about this, because I have no idea. You know what I mean?
Moody is their Twitter.
Yeah, he is. And we follow Moody on Twitter, and I argue with him all the time. That's the problem too. We engage with these people all the time too.
I love you. Go, hi, this is Ben from Indiana. Yeah, Moody, I called you 3 times last week. As soon as I hear that, I change the channel. I'm like, oh, I can't do this guy, not again.
There's a lady that called in the other day where she's like, we go to Darlington every year, but Kyle Larson hasn't been running good. And I just don't want to spend the money unless Kyle Larson's running good to go see him. It's like, all right, lady.
What do you expect Moody to say when callers do that stuff? You know what I mean? Like, lady, why did you call to tell me that?
Cool story. Cool story. And he goes, well, I hope Kyle Larson starts getting back on track. Not to go off on a tangent, because we only have 2 minutes before the call gets cut off, before we have to do a reset. But ever since Kyle Larson said that he thinks he's the best driver in the world and that he could race Max Verstappen and jump in, he's had dog shit finishes. Dog shit finishes, like sub 30th place finishes. Look at his last 7 races.
And that's why he's my record.
Yeah. We'll get into it.
Whoa, spoiler alert,
30 wide for the lead. 1 lap to go.
It's this week's Checkers and Wreckers.
We're total Wayne's World this week. All right, Eric, you teased it already, so you might as well go first. Kyle Larson, your Wreckers. Why is that? I think I know, but
I talked about it a couple weeks ago. I think I wrecked him too, where I said he's become a boomer bust.
Yeah.
He won the most stage points because he won the most stages. So he had a points build up, a big points lead as far as in the playoffs going in with all those stage wins. So you think stage wins, he should have a lot of race wins, right? Well, no, because he's so close to that line when he drives. And I said it a couple weeks ago when I wrecked him. You have to be.
Yeah.
You have to be that close to winning our sport. We know there's a razor's edge you have to be on. And during the regular season, it's okay to go on that because you DNF 4, 5, 6 times. You're going to win maybe 1 or 2 it's going to pay off.
It's going to even out. Yeah.
Racing that way in the regular season. But with what happened in the last few weeks, the way I look at it was you just lost the regular season championship, right? And everyone kind of pointed at
Missing
the
that
Indy
race,
thing, the
yeah.
Indy thing. And I'm looking at it like, okay, yeah, the Indy thing had a huge thing to do it. If he just went there, everything probably would have been fine. But you don't know because the races after that could have went differently than they went.
Yeah.
But he blew those 2 last restarts in that race too. he had that championship in the bag when he was up front, and Reddick was so many spots back that he had the championship still.
Yeah, mathematically.
Those last 2 restarts, he fucking blew it in those last 2 restarts and allowed people to get around him and Reddick to make moves up and to seal that and get the 1 point over Larson for the championship. So now that all happens, right? So there's pressure talking about this, talking about that, going into it. It's playoffs. It's Atlanta. Oh, my God. I'm thinking to myself, okay, Atlanta's a crapshoot, so maybe race aggressive, and who gives a shit, right?
Yeah.
Because it's Atlanta, whatever, go for it. But that early, when everyone was still single file, not risking moves because you still didn't know how your car was handling, that is the problem I have with Kyle Larson, is he's on that razor's edge, and he doesn't know anything other than it.
Yeah.
And, we've talked a little bit about that with Reddick as well this year, where it's, man, I wrecked him a lot, and I was busting your balls about it in the beginning because I'm like, dude, Reddick should have 4 wins, but he overdrives, and he blows it at the end, and it's like, relax, just calm it down and bring that car home wherever. And I think Larson
that's what he's
doesn't have
been
that in
doing
him
too.
But I was thinking about this because Larson doesn't have that in him, because think about the dirt world.
You have to
You
go.
are pedal to the metal.
Always.
You have to go always. At there is no riding around the back or half throttle or saving fuel.
No, it's a 50-lap feature.
In order to win
you
this
gotta
race,
go.
You got to go to the front.
You gotta go to the front.
So
you gotta stay in the front.
I get that's where his mentality comes from. But in our sport, what do you have to do?
It's a marathon.
You have to hone in all sorts of skills and talents. And okay, Larson brings a certain skill set that allows him success in our sport. But now we're realizing in order for him to maybe jump to the elite level, to the next level, to get into the conversation of the Tony Stewarts, the Jeff Gordons of the world, like, you have to learn, and it's a skill in our sport, to take care of your equipment and to not destroy your car in the first stage over, you know what I mean? Like, I always said it, like, Jimmy Johnson was so good at, like, just bringing his car home. Just bringing it home. Bring it home. If you have something in the beginning of the race, bring it home. Like, I don't know. It's so boom or bust with him that starting these playoffs like this, the real reason I'm wrecking him too is because you just lost all of that points cushion
10 positions
that you had building into it. And now you're back there swimming with the fishes. You know what I mean? Now it's like a must go out there and race. And I know he could turn it on and go out there and do that, but why put yourself in that situation? And, it's just, man, I think him racing on that razor's edge is going to burn him more than it helps him.
I totally agree, especially the fact that, and I'm going to criticize Denny in a little bit, but you look at the
this is why I kind of brought it up, because of yours as well.
So you look at the different mentalities where Denny is like, I just want to secure a good finish to move on. And if it failed, and we'll talk
Same
about
outcome. Right.
Right.
It's like, 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, you know, like, do you race hard or don't you?
But Kyle,
and my point is, at Atlanta, you do that.
Yeah.
That's why I think Denny's strategy was fucked, because it's Atlanta. Like, if we're at a normal racetrack, Vegas, somewhere, like, all right, you don't want to get caught up. If you feel uncomfortable, great. Like,
bail
if
out.
this is a racetrack where you can race and go, but like at Atlanta, whether you're up front or behind, you never know what's going to happen. At least you control a more straightforward 1.5-mile race. You could control that outcome more.
And you want to? I feel like Atlanta doesn't see the big ones like Daytona and Talladega does either, though.
No, that's why I said it didn't really feel super speedway. It raced more regular. Like,
sorry to cut you off.
It didn't have. I mean, it had a. There was a possibility for another big one at the end, but I don't know how it didn't happen when Buescher and everyone got into each other. Like that could have been another big one, but it didn't. But yeah, I just think this is gonna his style in this format now is gonna hurt him.
Logano almost caused a big one at the end of stage 2 too. He came up on the bumper, like the nose of Todd Gilliland, and like Gilliland almost hooked him right into the wall. I don't know how the hell they saved that. I'm so sorry, Matt, but I just had to say it. Like, It was
We're
wild.
always, the three of us, you obviously have been doing this for 4 years now. We're always really, really good with being able to bob and weave and see everyone. Like, we know when the other two, if you're not watching on YouTube and you're listening, I've been trying to talk.
I know, I'm so sorry.
And it's nothing, I don't have anything important to say, but like, I've been trying to get in for like 8 minutes now, which is a lifetime when you're trying to get something in. I don't even remember what I was gonna say. No,
That's
I do.
the problem too, because you forget what you wanted to say.
Oh, that's why I write it down, dude. I'll do that sometimes. Like, and then all right, I'm gonna let them talk. So let me just write this down quick.
I feel like we do a pretty good job on not stepping on each other. And like every time I was like, ooh, I think this is a window. Boom, something else, someone else. So I just, to Eric's point, if you look at who's ahead of Larson right now in the playoffs after just one race, Daniel Suarez, Austin Cindric, Alex Bowman, all ahead of Larson right now. So I mean, we're going to Watkins Glen and then Bristol. But again, yeah, Larson can win both those races easily, but he can also easily finish 35th in those races.
Yes.
And then the season's over for him.
So right now, he walked into Atlanta 40 points to the good, leading the point standings. He leaves in 10th, 15 points above the cutoff line. And to your point,
Huge
like
hit. Critical, that could be a critical hit.
And to your point, like, yes, he could go out and win Watkins Glen. He could go out and win Bristol, but he could also wreck out of both those races. And how many times have we seen Larson wreck out at a road course too? He's good at Sonoma. I don't know how, he's pretty good at Watkins Glen too, but like, again, it's feast or famine with him. It's checkers or wreckers, and the wreckers aren't cutting it in the playoffs, you know, like even if we're points battling right now, those aren't the finishes you need for a full season championship anyways. So yeah, I don't know, man.
It didn't help him that it happened in the first stage too, where he didn't even get points at all throughout that race. He was just done.
No, like the lack of stage points, just everything. And for how well a lot of these guys that we thought weren't going to do well in the playoffs, how well they did, like Daniel Suarez.
That's why his first round, and it goes to my point too, where, hey, this is the entertainment side of it. Tyler Reddick is my champion of 2024, and now we get into what they want to make their money on. They say so. It's man, this first round is
it's pretty wild.
3 races are and like what. As a NASCAR fan, it's like, wait a minute, super speedway hybrid, road course, and the smallest racetrack we have with the highest banking, with the tire problem that was like we've never seen.
And we're bringing those tires back.
We're starting there. You know what I mean? So it's like, part of me, not to get in the weeds here, but part of me is like, okay, like this happened to Larson, and look what happened to Denny. Now, after the first round, if they're not in, let's say they don't make it out of this round, I am not watching. It's almost unwatchable to me at that point, because we all know, yes, there's this person that can win. Listen, there's a consensus, maybe top 5, 6 out of these people that like, I would be like, okay, this was good. But the way it's set up, I think we're going to see way more surprises. And we did our picks last week and we're going over the brackets. And now I'm like, man.
I did a bad bracket.
Yeah,
I did a bad bracket. Dude, and you want to know what kills me? The only reason why I had Chase Briscoe moving out of the round of 16 was because I thought he was going to run really good at Atlanta. And what the fuck happens to him? He runs into the back of Kyle Larson.
So my checkers to keep this rolling forward here. I haven't done this in a while, and man, did it feel good. EJ, man, he had a rocket ship in stage 2. I don't know what happened to him after that, because after stage 2, he went back to 24th and just never saw the fucking light of day again. But there was a whole stage worth where he was the stage. He made that 3 wide racing at the back of the pack. When he found out that his car or the cars could go to that high side and go up top and get a run around the top, because most people were getting speed. You heard wrap the bottom. Oh, he's wrapping the bottom.
He was like diamonding the corner.
Like, I'm going on the top, and he just had momentum. He was passing 4 cars at a time sometimes in a turn, and he drove all the way up to 5th.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? He has a rocket ship today. Okay, so at the end of the stage, dude, the end of stage 2, he went from 5th, and he just left. He went back to Charlotte, North Carolina, and never returned. Well, I don't know where he went, but for the time that he was there, rocket ship, glad to see it. His style of race, from what I'm recollecting back to Twitter the day, something happened in his car. He had an issue. Again, it's like the 3rd week in a row where there's been a steering, a something like they're struggling on every corner of that garage over at LMC. But it was fun to see him run and be aggressive like that. I always talk, make that 3rd line, go up there, race, and I'm proud that my driver's one of them that's always going to push for racing at a place like that.
Well, we saw gremlins out of Toyota all weekend too, where Denny Hamlin's qualifying. He was down like 2 cylinders because of plug wires, and then they ended up replacing the plug wires on all the Gibbs cars because of it. You know, like I don't know, a Toyota man. What are you doing?
I didn't want to bring this up, but not a tinfoil hat. It's a bandana, a babushka, but I'll throw it on.
Yeah.
You know who's supplying these parts to
NASCAR? NASCAR, man.
Who's bitching and holding out and didn't sign the deal, the agreement?
One James Dennis Hamlin.
I'm just saying.
Crazy, right?
Little spark plug. Yeah, send him those ones from 2022.
It's like, the cars are in the garage and pounded overnight. Ooh, maybe.
If you give us enough time, no, never mind. Never mind. I was gonna make an off-color joke, and you know me. I don't hold back with jokes because at the end of the day, they're jokes. And I won't say it. I will tell you guys after we're done recording. It would have been a very untimely joke. Okay. That's all I'll say.
All right. Can't tease us on that one.
I'm really, and you guys will be proud of me too.
Yeah.
I'm really proud of myself for holding back on this one.
All right. Whatchamacallit? How about your
No, wait, no, go into yours.
Oh,
yeah. I did my Larson and then EJ.
Oh,
and or right. Did you talk? Or we talk about your Denny thing when I was talking about Larson? I don't remember.
Well, I'll get into just the strategy. Okay. I'm giving it the records to the strategy. I understand it though. I get it. You know, because like it's one of those strategies that if it works out, it really works out, and if it doesn't, you get Sunday. You know, where like he went out there not looking for stage points, which I think is kind of ridiculous, but at the same time, he didn't want to be in the middle of the pack. And like, where did the wrecks break out? 10th on back, you know? So he cruised around the back. I don't know if it was kind of in protest too. Who the fuck knows?
No, his car was ill.
Yeah.
His car was not it just from the day they unhauled it had gremlins, like you said.
But at the same time, I'm pretty sure on that last lap, he was in position to get at least 20th place or get 20 points out of the day, which is what he wanted to survive. And then just a wreck coming out of turn 4. I forget exactly who started it. I think it was like a bad push into Chase Elliott, and then Elliott got into the back of someone. I saw Bubba Wallace go flying into the wall, and he kind of collected the rest of the field. So just unfortunate. It's unfortunate because if it would have worked out for him, everyone would have been like, oh, Denny's a genius. They played the long game, and it was a perfect play. And because it didn't work out, you have Kyle Petty going, I don't understand that strategy at all, where it's like, I do. And
yeah, like if you didn't understand it, like how don't you understand it? Like
at the same time too,
does Kyle Petty have to do with this?
Right? At the same time too, I could see I lost my train of thought. I could see I could see Denny kind of making a mockery of the playoffs by doing shit like that, where he's like, oh, you want to put Atlanta as the first race in the playoffs, a super speedway? Well, one of your stars that should win a champion is going to stay in the back the whole entire day. You know,
I think it was more of this. Because I listened to clips on Instagram today from his podcast where he kind of was touching on it, I guess.
Yeah.
Where he took the playoffs as he would take a normal race weekend. And he broke it down analytically where, hey, when it's the last stop of a race, it's a caution, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're the leaders. What are you doing? You're most likely going to stay out as the leader, and whatever they do, you're going to do opposite. You know what I mean? Like
fifth on back, they all pit for tires. Yeah.
So I think he took this whole playoffs and he took it and he's doing something different from the other teams. I'm going to do this analytically.
Yeah.
I'm going to go in there and look at it like this. Everyone's going to be aggressive and they're going to try to win this race. And by being super aggressive and crashing, they're going to do so-and-so. Right. I'm looking at it in a different way where, I'm going to ride around. I know I can escape this, escape that. I should get 20 points out of it because he broke it down. If I get 20, 20, and 20 with the points he has, he easily moves on worry-free.
Yeah. Oh,
and
yeah.
he said now he needs 47 over the next 2 weeks, which is still really plausible with stage points and the way he runs up front. Normal racetracks we're going to now where you could
road course
you
in
could
Bristol,
strategize Watkins Glen for an easy extra 20.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? You know what the stage breaks are. It's like
you just do the opposite of who's trying to go out and win. You just go out and go for stage wins.
He went analytically about it instead of just racing. So I understand it. Don't do opposite of what you think everyone else is going to do.
Yeah, and I respect it. I just had to give him records because it didn't work out. And if it worked out for him, if it worked out for him, he probably get the checkers.
About Daytona all the time when they riding back. Can I see Kensington and the whole Ford Gibbs crew riding around the back? I'm like, what am I doing here? I'm watching my driver ride around in the back all day.
Thank God for Eric Jones jumping out of line and going 3 wide.
And I loved hearing Lee call him, look at Eric Jones going up to the top. He's really Lee Diffie. I'm sold on him, man. I'm sold.
Did you guys pick up how he said how he pronounced the month of February?
No.
Oh my God. It was like one of those.
He said Daytona.
It was like one of those where like I had to rewind it on the TV because I didn't know. It was like what? It was like I don't even know. I won't do it justice. But the way he pronounced February was like, it was hilarious. It was awesome. It was like, it was beautiful. It was beautiful.
February. I don't know. That was terrible.
I couldn't even
it's, I'll do it sometimes too. When I say like Winda, I won't put it, you know what I mean? Instead of saying Daytona, he says Daytona.
Daytona.
He put the ER at the end.
We're heading to Daytona. We have to look out for that February. I love it too. He said something weird too on the broadcast. Something about the wall. I forget. I don't know. Just little tiny things where it's like, he said cockpit at some point.
He added a new flair. It's a new flavor into the sport, and I like it. It energized me for these playoffs. It did.
Let's see, my checkers though for the weekend, I gotta give it to Austin Cindric, man. His finish in 10th place did not show his entire day. He had a rocket ship. Finished second in stage 1, won stage 2, led 3 times for 92 laps, a career high for him in any race, and the race high as well in Atlanta. Just in great run out of a guy who not a lot of us probably thought was going to go far in the playoffs either. And his finishes at Atlanta have been really great in the past too. So that's why I actually
fourth racer.
Oh yeah,
he has a real good shot to make it out of this round.
That's why I put him in the second. I have him advancing to the round of 12 just because I was like, this is a good stretch of races for him. Where I think he
boys worked well together as a team all day too. I thought. Blaney pushing, Cindric out front. Do. Yeah, they really. I thought they were the team that.
How about Blaney bringing that car home third too?
What's that?
How about Blaney bringing that car home third too? That thing was like mangled on the side.
When I saw like where he finished, I go, wait a minute, because he was part of that wreck that I said could have been really bad.
Yeah. Oh
he
yeah.
He was involved in that. Yeah. When they boop, and I'm like, oh no, but somehow. Everyone else managed to get around. Only like 3 or 4 cars kind of went down to the flat. Was it on the backstretch?
Think so.
And it was okay. It was kind of calm, but yeah, man, impressive day from I guess the Fords in general.
Yeah,
they were just fast as hell. Ricky Stenhouse, that aggressive son of a bitch with EJ all day going
he was up
toe to toe.
Yep.
Yeah. I want to say he finished 10th, but he didn't. He finished 14th, but he was in the top 10 for both 2 stages. Like he was running up front for a while. I think there was a weird little pit strategy that got guys shuffled in the back a little bit because Bubba Wallace ended up in the front, and I couldn't figure out why. I missed that. I think some guys pitted for gas and some guys didn't. So. I think that he got shuffled in the back for that. How about you, Matt, though? What's your checkers and wreckers for the weekend?
Oh, now you're going to let me talk.
Matt, you got 5 minutes. Make it quick.
Make it count.
Well, just kind of my checkers kind of goes to the opposite of what you were saying about Denny. My checkers goes to Suarez. So
yeah,
he went out there and raced an aggressive race, and now he's plus 22 in the standings, and ran the exact race he needed to. And guess what? Now we get to go to Watkins Glen next week, where he's got 3 top 5s in the last 6 Cup Series races there.
Wow.
So I know some of those weren't with the next gen car. I actually don't. I think his numbers are slightly worse with over the last 3 races, but I still do think he's got a top 5 in the next gen car at Watkins Glen as well. So just a real good opportunity. I mean, again, Cindric, your checkers, 2 guys that I think all of us had, or you didn't, Whitey, you didn't have Cindric. No,
but I completely wrote off.
But I did. I wrote off
Suarez
and Cindric exiting after this round, and both of them are in really, really good positions right now. So a couple things, and we've done enough bitching over the past 2 hours and over the past 2 months. So I'll try to keep this brief. It's cool to see in this gimmick playoff, but also it's exposing the shit out of why the playoffs aren't a legit thing either. So it's cool that Suarez, Cindric, Bowman, having moments right now because they have really good finishes. But again, like you said, if Larson and Denny get shuffled out of there or not, and they don't advance because of a couple bad things that happen, it just further reveals the true identity of what these playoffs are.
The ratings will plummet, Matt. If Larson or Denny, they're not in it, the ratings are gonna plummet.
I mean,
and God forbid it is this first round. Let's say they don't make it out of this first round. It will suffer, because you know what? It did suffer when Chase.
Yeah, he didn't make the playoffs last year, and yeah,
and it suffered.
And
so I think that's when they had let's change this. Let's try to make it a little. And instead of dialing it down and going more, like we said, to our fan, they just went crazier with it. And it's they're doubling down on all this bullshit. And I agree, Matt. They're playing Russian roulette.
The playoffs worked when there wasn't the parity that NASCAR wanted, because the cream was always going to rise to the top. But
and you get 1 or 2 guys that would make it in, where it's oh, Michael McDowell's in somehow, and yeah.
And it would be hell yeah, okay, McDowell, yeah. But now it's right, everything is so close.
I'm gonna make a bold statement, a couple bold statements, I think. Chase Elliott voted most popular driver. I think Kyle Larson is hands down the most popular driver in NASCAR right now in terms of fan merch that I see at the racetrack. I also think that those fans are very fair weather fans. And I think if Kyle Larson gets knocked out of the first round of the playoffs because he wrecked out at Atlanta and then has a bad day at Watkins Glen and stuff, I think you see a big ratings hit because of those fans where they're fuck it, football's on. Let me watch that instead. Larson's already out. You
just made my point from earlier.
Yeah.
All the new fans that NASCAR is trying to get have that mentality.
Absolutely.
All of these new fans that they're sacrificing and destroying what they have now, causing us to bitch for 3 hours on a Tuesday night. Those are the fans that they want instead of us.
Yeah.
Think about that. That's why I get irritated.
Oh yeah, I hear it.
You're right. Those fans are not going to stick around through it. We're bitching for 3 hours about not sticking around. You know what I'm going to do on Sunday? I'm going to watch the fucking race for 3 hours.
I'm going to be there. I'm going to drive up to New York and watch it.
I'm going to Pocono next year. I'm probably going to go to 3 other races.
Right.
But fuck NASCAR.
Don't say it too loud. Don't say it too loud.
All right. I don't want. I will never say it too loud. Matt. But the new fan.
You bought a bigger camper. You have to justify that purchase.
And will not tune in again if Larson. Yeah, you're right, Wade. That is. You nailed it. We just tied a bow on this whole show. I love Tuesday shows. Let's go.
All right, Matt. How about your records for the weekend? What's your records?
Real quick, just Briscoe's spotter. When Larson spun,
right?
It was a good. I counted it, so I counted it on the replay. It was 5 and maybe even 6 seconds after Larson's initial contact that Briscoe came and barreled into Larson as he was kind of coming down the track. And I was just okay, I like to give these guys in those specific situations kind of the benefit of the doubt where there's smoke or it happened too quick because they're moving a million miles an hour. But like 5-6 seconds is like a ton of time for either
in reaction
Briscoe to
time,
slow the hell down or for his spotter to tell him where exactly Larson is.
Get down.
And how he smashed into him, like super dangerous. Like I don't know what happened there, but super dangerous.
At least 5 or 6 cars went around Larson, and then he smashed in.
Yeah.
Once again, Matt, you brought up my point I brought up a few weeks ago on the show. What did I notice?
They're trying to gain position on the yellow.
Positions
and they're
when
gassing
that
it
caution
up.
flies, they're not slowing down, or they're gassing up to be like, "Fuck you! You slow down, I'm going ahead of you, bitch." Because
Yeah.
my scoring loop is going to put me ahead of you.
Yeah.
So this is exactly what I knew was going to start happening with these cautions, these timing loops, and when points get this close in the playoffs now, you see these drivers not slowing down to get an advantage. He had more than enough
I'm
time.
telling you, it was 5 or 6 seconds, like which is a ton of time, especially when you're on the brakes and stuff. Like just the reaction time itself.
He saw other cars reacting too, so you know something's happening.
Yeah,
hit the brake, guy.
It's acceptable when like I got hit from behind and I hit him. He just fucking came in and cleared him out.
I would like to see the dash cam footage. I haven't, so like that's maybe the only thing that can change my mind. I haven't seen the dash cam footage. I'm gonna see while we're talking if I can find it, and as we kind of move on from this, because I know we've been on here forever. If I do find something and it changes my mind, I'll let you know about it.
Yeah, boys.
Radioactive might have something on that, Matt.
Do they do radioactive anymore? I think that was a Race Hub deal. I don't know if they're producing it anymore.
I used to watch it on Twitter, whatever they reposted on Twitter. I don't watch like the TV. I get it like the next day.
Yeah, we'll have to look on YouTube. But it used to be Tuesdays on Race Hub, and then we'd watch them on Wednesday on YouTube and Twitter.
It's 6. I just watched. The only thing I was able to find so far was the actual NBC footage. It is 6 solid seconds.
Yeah.
From the time Larson hits the wall to the time Briscoe hits Larson.
Yeah, that spotter. Like, what are you telling him? Like, are you like blowing your nose? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, let's see. Let's go through the rest of the guys. We hit Logano. He won. Daniel Suarez had a great run. Blaney had a great run too. He led shit ton of laps.
Good run.
33 laps led for Blaney. Let's see. Bowman had where is Bowman? He did have a good run. He led twice
fifth, didn't he?
Yeah, he finished 5th. He led twice for 5 laps. But he was up in the mix all day long. He finished 3rd in both stages. Like he was right there all day long. He had a car too. Kyle Busch had a car
before Logano last week. I was gonna pick Bowman for Atlanta. Yeah.
Dude, Briscoe's. I'm sorry to keep going back to this. Briscoe's the 11th car that goes by.
I counted 6 in my head just going back, but I knew it was a lot of cars went by him.
Let's see. Kyle Busch had a great run. Don't know what happened with RCR during the Olympic break, but I think I'm more optimistic that Busch can win a race before the end of the year.
I am too.
They found something, whatever that means anymore, because everything's the same.
Yeah. That whole race, though, was basically Penske and Hendrick up front. All the Hendrick guys had a shit ton of points in the stages. William Byron only led twice for 2 laps, though. I think those were during like green flag runs or something. And then talked about Cindric. Ross Chastain had a pretty decent run for there in a little bit. Led twice for 13 laps. Ty Gibbs led 3 times for 37 laps. He had a good car near the end. Something happened to him, though. I think he got hit and shuffled back a little bit. And then McDowell led twice for 30 laps. Didn't see that come. Man, Michael McDowell qualifying at these super speedways has been something to see. That Ford package with more drag at the super speedways, like they gave it up everywhere else except for here, man. That Mustang's really strong at super speedway type racing. And then
I think Kyle Busch shuffled Gibbs out. And then when they were leading in the end there, I think Kyle said,
I think something, something like that happened. And then yeah, that's all I have for the race notes. Again, we went long this week. Let's see.
It was a great race. It was like that happens when there's good, like when there's a good race, it makes for a great podcast. And you want to talk about
we did a lot of rightful bitching.
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah.
Unapologetic bitching.
It was a big weekend in news for the Chargers, and that got us going places.
My computer, my laptop screen has flashed like 3 or 4 different times throughout this, which is new.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking I've been hacked by NASCAR.
They're after us. They're listening. We got to put
the France family's gonna send Hitman after me.
Matt, you got to cover your head in some tinfoil so they can't read your mind. That's the
You'll
key.
be all right. Just put a number 7 Spire flag in your front yard. I was like, oh, okay, we'll leave him alone. He's good.
Right. Let's see. Here on the Bumper Run podcast, everyone loves to talk about the winner, one Joey Logano. We also have to talk about the last place guy, and we did. His name was Chase Briscoe, and he smashed into the back of Kyle Larson after how many cars passed him, Matt? 11 cars.
Briscoe was the 11th car.
All right. We are heading to the Finger Lakes, wine country up in New York. Xfinity on track at Watkins Glen, 3 p.m. on USA for the Mission 200 at the Glen. And then Cup on track, 3 p.m. on USA for the Go Bowling at the Glen. That is, of course, on Sunday. To go over our picks from last week, Eric, you picked Joey Logano, and he won the race. So you pick last this week. I picked William Byron. He got me 37 points. And then Matt, you picked Kyle Busch. He got you 30 points. So you pick first for Watkins Glen. I pick second, and Eric picks third.
Boys, it's happening again. What happened last year? I had a giant lead,
and
over 100-point lead.
Just chipping away. Eric's chipping away.
Eric closed in once the playoffs started. I'm the Martin Truex of the Bump and Run podcast, where I just fold. It's happening again. Eric's climbing in there.
You won the regular season champion, and you're falling off a cliff once again.
I'm not going to overthink this one because I got to make up some ground. We talked about him a ton tonight. I feel like there's going to be a rebound here. Hendrick has been strong, but you have to go all the way back for me personally. You have to go all the way back to Nashville of this season since the last time I took this guy.
Yeah.
But if he can stay out of his own way, I think Kyle Larson wins the race.
I like it. I like how you mentioned Hendrick because I'm also going with a Hendrick driver because fun little stat. Hendrick has won like the last, how many races? 6 races at Watkins Glen?
I think it's 5 because I think Chase won
2017.
Since 2017. Truex was the
last one to win in 2017.
Yeah. So
okay.
So 18.
Larson won it twice, 21, 22. Byron Chase won it 18, 19.
Chase won it twice. And then Slick Willie 2 Clocks won it last year.
Yeah, and that's who's going to win it again this year. I picked him last week on the podcast for Atlanta. Did pretty well. I usually don't like to pick the same guy 2 weeks in a row, but he dominated at the Glen last year, and I think he has the chance to do it. Give me one Slick Willie 2 Clocks. William Byron.
Oh, I like that because they were in my top 3 picks for sure. So since I am gaining on Matt, I do have this is like my gut instinct that I know is just gonna absolutely bury me and it's gonna take me right out of contention. But it's once again gut feeling. Sometimes momentum in our sport is fucking huge. For some reason, momentum carries and it just continues for a couple weeks.
Yeah.
And we're at that point where Reddick, he's 3rd, he's 4th, he's 2nd, he's 3rd, he's 5th, win. 3rd, 4th, win. They come when you start running up front. Kyle fucking Busch gets his
there.
Point.
It is.
Hell
I knew it.
Yeah.
Good pick.
I just want that for the fans.
I knew it. I already wrote it down. I already wrote down the number 8 next to your name. I knew it.
Yeah.
All right. To go over the playoff picture real quick, we on the outside looking in, Chase Briscoe is in 16th, minus 21 points. Martin Truex Jr. minus 19. Harrison Burton minus 16. And Brad Keselowski minus 1 point on the cutoff line. We will see who gets themselves locked into the next round of the playoffs through Watkins Glen, or do we see a winner outside of the playoff grid? We will find out this Sunday, 3 p.m. on USA for the Go Bowling at the Glen. Will it be Kyle Larson, or will it be Kyle Busch. I do that every fucking time. Three
Every
names.
week.
Three.
Every week.
I can't remember 3 fucking names. Anyways, we'll see if one of our guys wins or someone else does this week, 3 p.m. on the USA for the Go Bowling at the Glen. For Matt the Statman Reilly, for Eric Daytona Ron, I'm Michael D. White saying have a good night.
There it is.